Coming up on today's show,
Joe is back from Spanish hunting. We talk conference championship week and the best remaining stories in the NFL.
Yeah, we're also going to talk some RG3 and Jay Gruden beef. Hawk and I are going to play Toledo into the national championship game and get pointers from our QB guru, Bruce Gradkowski, on how to land an NFL coaching gig.
All this and much, much more on this Fat and Atlas International Baccalaureate beef-friendly episode of the ThomaHawk Show. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the world-famous ThomaHawk. As always, I'm your humblest of all co-hosts, Andrew Hawkins, 7-year NFL veteran, 2-year CFL veteran. I never shout them out, but I did win 2 championships north of the border, which is significant now on this show because we have become the official podcast of international football because Joe Thomas is a coach for the Munich Ravens, not to be confused with the Baltimore Ravens. They would never hire him. But Joe Thomas, beyond being a Pro Football Hall of Famer, 10-time Pro Bowler, All-Pro, College Football Hall of Fame, he is now over in Europe teaching the skill of offensive line to the only people who care, and that is the Germans. He is back. He was gone last week. Joe, how was your last week? Why did you miss? And what is the update with the Munich Ravens? How are we shaping up as a ball club?
Well, we're shaping up really well. It's going to be championship or bust, I think, this season. We're basically the Patriots of, mid 2010s ish.
Yeah, I like that.
And to answer your other question, I was in Spain. It was amazing. I highly recommend hunting ibex in the mountains of Spain with some dudes that know how to eat and they know how to hunt.
I've been to Spain. I went to Spain this summer. I went to Ibiza, which is not when we
really
go to Spain.
It's Ibiza.
Ibiza? All right,
Yeah.
my bad. And if you don't know that voice, it is the man, the myth, the legend, Wade Cross's favorite son, Mr. Juju Gotti, in the building with a new jersey. He is a Bills fan, but you see that he has a different jersey, which we will get into a little later in the show. But your Spain trip and my Spain trips, Joe, are the perfect representations of our friendship and our personalities. You go to Spain to hunt. What were you hunting?
The Gredos ibex and the Betheti ibex in 2 different mountain ranges, one by Madrid, one by Betheti, which is near Barcelona. And I'm sure you were doing the same thing.
Yeah. What animal is that? What animal is that?
Barcelona. It's
Barcelona.
Not a yeah. So it sounds like Juju spent a lot of time in Spain because he knows everything culturally that there is to know about the Spanish. However, yes, it was amazing. An ibex is a giant species of goat that have these enormous horns that kind of go back different directions. Europe, Asia, that's where you can find them for your next hunting trip there, Juju and Hawk.
Nice.
I like that. A raven hunting a goat. That has context for this episode, which we'll get into that AFC matchup a little later. You see what I did there? I'm sure that's not new to this, Juju. All right, so you were hunting goats. I was in Ibiza. And when I say kicking it, I mean kicking it hard like I was 19 years old on spring break. But that, again, anytime, Joe, me and you ever go anywhere, that is how we're going to split up as family, as people. I'm going to party. And you're going to the woods, which I would never go to. So I don't care what country we're in. That reigns true in every state, city, country, continent, planet, you name it. We go to Venus, I'm fine in the party, brother. All right.
I like that. But when we do get together and party, it becomes very epic. And we have some amazing stories. And that's why we're such great friends.
Exactly.
And that's why I'm sure you sound like you're straight out of Ibiza right now because it's like 2 p.m. where I am. And it's 3 in the morning where you guys are.
It's a early morning episode because we're across borders now. So we're trying to accommodate the times. So my voice turns into a little Barry White. You catch me anytime before 10 a.m., baby. And you're getting a whole different style of Hawk. All right now. All right. So that's what my voice sounds like. Well, Joe, you missed a lot last week. It was a great episode. If you haven't listened, go check it out. And anybody listening, make sure you check out last week's episode on Le Batard Show YouTube. We also are live every week. Well, not live. Well, we on the DraftKings Network every week, Wednesday at 4 p.m. And you can catch the ThomaHawk Show anywhere you listen to podcasts. Like and subscribe so that you don't miss an episode. Joe, the Browns lost. We talked about it last week. We went through our morning, and me and half of that because she's still very excited about Bang Bang Niner Gang. but you weren't here. So now that you are here, I'm sure the fans want to know, how did you feel about the Browns loss? Did you watch that game? And what were your big takeaways?
So I know that a very important member of your family recently died and you just got over it. But how do you feel about it right now? Yeah, thanks a lot for bringing that up. That was really kind of you, Hawks. Yeah,
I didn't know where that was going either, Juju. I was like, what? I thought he was breaking news to me.
No. I feel like, I deserve that a little bit because I did miss that show being in Spain in the mountains. I was hoping that I'd have a little bit of reception, but thankfully I had none. So I didn't have to hear you telling me about how the Browns stink. However, it was a lot of sadness. We were out here in Munich. The game happened in the middle of the night. So I got our buddy Paul Brown, friend of the show. He sent me his login information for one of his, ways that he watches the game over here in Europe. And got the family together. We ate a nice little breakfast at like 6 a.m. because everybody got up early. We were excited. We watched the replay. The first half, there was pure joy in the house. Second half was a little bit less. We all cried when the game was over because we believed it was the team of destiny. Turns out we were wrong. Should not have believed our emotions like so many times before with our Brownies, but we're finally over it now, and I think we can enjoy a tremendous Final Four in the playoffs.
Yeah, we will enjoy it. And we went through all the emotions last week. I let everyone know I was at a Browns backers bar watching the game, which was dope, man. I mean, I'm not kidding. Obviously, I've played for really 2 NFL teams, so that's what I have to compare it to. But the Browns, how they keep their players involved, it almost feels like college. They are very hands-on about their alumni. You know what I mean? And it's not typically you'll have teams and you need to be Joe Thomas level to really stay involved in the games and the organization. And the Haslam family, that's one thing they came in, they think was one of their focuses was hey, we want to build a culture that people want to be a part of this. And ever since I retired, I can't even tell you the support that I've gotten from the Browns organization, from the owners. And it's not just me because I do TV. It's literally everyone. We go back to games. We hang out with old teammates. Those teams weren't even good. And we come there, they treat us like royalty. 1 in 15 teams. We come in and they're it's like high school. They're so happy to see us. So I got to shout out the Browns because they really do it like a first-class organization. So that's really cool.
That's the least they could do.
They paid us too, Juju. I don't know if you know that, but we did get paid. Okay, they paid us a lot of money, and that was more than enough for me as well. All right. Speaking of morning, I'm going to feel really good about bringing this up. The Buffalo Bills are sitting their ass in Cancun. They can go hunt in Spain if they want to, because they no longer have an NFL playoff to worry about. Juju, your Bills hit the bed, and I think it's your fault too, because when last week you said you only had 3% confidence in them. And they could have used any portion of that 97% that you gave to the Chiefs.
But did you see? And they would have came away with it. Did you see that fake punt? Yes or no?
Yeah, I did. You got the Hamlin jersey in the background.
I present to you my confidence in the
Buffalo
Bills. They were lucky to be in the game. Patrick Mahomes had a fantastic game. Him and T. Kelsey, bravo, guys. Way to bring it in the playoffs. Absolutely. But the Buffalo Bills, they were granted a couple golden tickets, and that's how I knew something's going to happen. After that fake punt, they came down, and Kansas City was supposed to take it. They were supposed to ice the game almost right there. But then Butterfingers Hartman fumbled the ball through the back of the end zone, gave him another golden ticket, gave him another blessing. That was a big blessing.
That was.
And then Josh came out, fumbled the ball.
That was wild.
And they tried to scoop and score instead of dive on it. Another blessing. So it's brother, they talking about the field goal, and which was definitely unfortunate. And get well soon, Bass. Brother, if you Bass friend out there, man, call my boy, man. He done deleted his social media. I can't imagine what that feels like going through, because everybody's feeling that way towards you. So prayers to my brother Bass. But yeah, man, I think it was bigger than that field goal, bro. The whole game they looked unstoppable.
Right. Joe, what do you think, man? Where are you at with Josh Allen? There's a lot of conversation around Josh Allen. Do we put him too high on a pedestal? Should he really be in the class of elite quarterbacks as we talk about him in the NFL?
I think the problem is, though, the expectations are that he's going to go and be Tom Brady every single game, because that's what this team needs for success, because the guys around him aren't picking themselves up and playing to the championship caliber that you need if you want to win a game. But I'll pivot your question to Patrick Mahomes, because I think what he's been able to do thus far in the playoffs cements his status as one of the all-time greats. And now I know he'd already been putting himself on that trajectory, but now he's doing it with fewer casts of characters around him that are helping him, and he's elevating those guys around him. And so I think that's really the only step that now Josh Allen needs to take, because he's putting that team on his back every single week and putting every game into his hands. And now it's his ability as a leader to get the most out of those guys around him. And it's not always the same way to be able to do that. And it's not always a concrete thing, but it was the things that Patrick Mahomes has been able to do in this playoffs and this season. And it's what Tom Brady became famous for. And so if Josh Allen wants to be in that class right now with Patrick Mahomes and put himself not just in the top 5 or 10 of these quarterbacks in the NFL right now, but in the status of, hey, this is the potential. This is what we see from you on in a lot of games. Like, you can be this guy all the time, and you can be one of the great legends of all time. It's finding little ways, however that is, and whatever that looks like, to get those guys around him to play at their best when their best is needed.
And him being able to fill in the gap.
Wow.
Him and
Diggs, wow. That's all I'm saying.
That was a bad one, man. Stephon had a big drop with, I said this on social media, that might have been the best throw I've ever seen. I mean, Josh Allen flicked his wrist, and that ball went 60 yards on a rope on a dime. I think it shocked even Stephon Diggs of how good the ball was, and that's why he didn't come away with it. But that was one of the plays down the stretch that they needed in order to win it. And Josh Allen, he also, had to get out of jail free card with the fumble, because this whole thing is turnovers. So you turn it over in the most crucial portion of the game. If the Bills don't get that, that is the entire conversation we're still having today. Right. And then, he made a couple of throws and decisions that you could probably question some of his game management in the last drive, because he had first down throws in front of him, but he was going for the big ball. And that kind of has been his knock as a quarterback. He is an elite talent. He is as good as any quarterback in the NFL when it comes to talent. He has to take the next step in game management. And to go back to the Cam Newton debate where he said game changers versus game managers, Josh Allen is a game changer who has to know how to manage a game. And I think that's what Lamar has done really well this year, is he's learned to manage games along with his game-changing talent. And it's what Patrick Mahomes has naturally always had. Ever since he's been a starter, he's always been able to make the play that they need when they need it, no matter what it is. And you're seeing it even this year, in a year where we were supposed to believe that the Chiefs are in a down year. So, I mean, when I watch Josh Allen, I want your honest opinion here, Joe. You feel like when you watch Josh Allen that all he cares about is winning a Super Bowl? Be honest. Like, be very honest as you watch him play, as you watch his disposition, as you watch, you hear what you hear around him. What are your thoughts?
He feels like at times he has to always go for the home run because he doesn't yet have that confidence. And I think some of that might be coaching. And it'll be interesting to see how the offensive staff shakes out throughout the season, because obviously they fired their offensive coordinator, Ken Dorsey, during the season. And I think getting the right coaches, one of my quarterbacks, one of my 20, getting the right coaches in there, and then having a little bit more time together where they can build that trust within that offense so that they can take what the defense gives them. And so that then when the big play opportunities are there, he can take those chances. But I think for Patrick Mahomes, not having Tyreek Hill may have almost made him a better player in the end, because he doesn't always feel like, hey, I can just throw it deep to Tyreek and I can work within the offense to beat these teams. And now it's made him more dangerous.
Right. So Juju, do you blow it up in Buffalo?
So yes, brother. George Pickens, brother. It's a lot of great receivers around the league, man. I think we got to give 14 his chance to do what he want to get out of there.
That's who you want to get rid of, 14?
No. I'm not saying if he wants to go. You know what I mean? You say blow it up. I say yes. Blow it up represents letting go of a piece like that that's costing so much. And dare I say, Sean McDermott, like.
Sean McDermott got to go.
Wake up, man. Like, it's certain decisions you made throughout this run that we had that I was just questioning the entire time. So I definitely agree. Yeah,
this is the official podcast of firing coaches, Juju. And I think it's time for Sean McDermott to go. I'll be honest with you. I mean, because we talked about Nick Sirianni getting fired. He started this season 10-1 and was in the Super Bowl last year. And people weren't wrong. He stuck around. I think that was the right move. But it's because he has the talent. I would say the same thing with Mike McCarthy, right? It's because you have the talent, and you're like, the divisional round is not what the goal is. You've gotten to the divisional round multiple years, Buffalo. You can't get past Patrick Mahomes. You got to shake something up to figure it out. And so Yeah, I think they have the players. They're going to start getting more and more expensive. There is no help coming. When you have a quarterback that you're paying all the money to, that means it's going to be on you to make those plays. There's not other big name guys coming in here to help that are bigger than Stephon Diggs. The cap space don't work like that. So
Right.
you
And
got to figure it out.
Our big offseason acquisition was Trent Sherfield. So get real. I saw him drop 2 crucial balls on Sunday. So,
All right.
what I
Well,
mean?
let's take a quick break. When we come back, we'll get into the other matchups that were the divisional round and get a preview into conference championship week. We'll be joined by Bruce Gradkowski, the ThomaHawk quarterback connoisseur. All right, we talked about the Chiefs and the Buffalo Bills, which I think everyone would agree with the big matchups of the divisional round. The Ravens are also moving on with the Chiefs in the AFC Championship. They beat the Texans pretty handedly. C.J. Stroud had a great year, probably one of the better rookie quarterback years we've ever seen. And he went against the Ravens, and he did not look the same, Joe. What were your takeaways from that game?
Well, I think when you're a rookie in the NFL playoffs, you're going to look good at times, but experience always seems to shine through. And that's what happened, right? When you start getting these looks that you haven't seen during the season, people are just trying to take one little defense that they saw work against you in the regular season from each game, and they're just going to throw it all at you. You're going to get the spam folder overflowing with defenses that you've had a hard time with, or defenses that you haven't seen, or maybe look like something you already saw, and it's a change at the last minute. And I think that's what happens. All it takes in the playoffs is a split second for that quarterback to hold on to the football or make the wrong decision, and it changes the course of the game.
Bruce, what has been the biggest difference in Lamar's game this year? Let's go to grad school mid-conversation. What's been the biggest difference?
Oh, man. I mean, what are you going to do against the guy? Are you going to blitz him? They got answers for that. You're going to play him in zone. He's just going to shred you. He'll find an open receiver. So it's been super impressive what he has done. And just the thing about Lamar, though, we see the abilities he has on the field, but I've always loved the intangible side of what he brings as a leader to that team. And I've seen it since day one, and the trust Harbaugh has within him years ago, going on 4th downs, and they continue to do that and play aggressive. He just, I don't know how you defend him when you match up against that football team. And then what was most impressive, though, with the Ravens is how they played Stroud, because I've been impressed with Stroud all season, but to just really hold them to, 10 points was insane in that matchup. So you look at Baltimore as just being a total package, but Lamar Jackson, man, it's just hard for me to go against that guy.
I agree. I think defensively, the Ravens are the toughest defensive ball club left. So I'm curious to also see how Mahomes goes against them. When you're looking at that matchup, Bruce, real quick. And I give you a proper introduction. Bruce Gradkowski in the building, ladies and gentlemen. He's a friend of the show, basically a part of the ThomaHawk. He's also an offensive coordinator in the now UFL, formerly the XFL, before the XFL and USFL merger for spring football. You can catch that on ESPN and Fox. Little plug there. Bruce is the offensive coordinator for the St. Louis Battlehawks, and he is joining a show with the offensive line coach from the Munich Ravens, Joe Thomas, in Munich right now. And we should put a poll up on social media. Which game do you think I'll get to first? Munich Raven game to support Joe, a St. Louis Battlehawk game to support Bruce, or none of the above? We'll put that on the poll.
Demons when hell freeze over.
And we'll see what the fans think that Hawk is going to do. Chiefs, Ravens. Let's get into that matchup.
I like the Ravens in this matchup. I think Patrick Mahomes has continually put the team on his back this season, and he's been able to do that throughout the playoffs. But right now he's going against probably the best offense and the best defense in the NFL. In the playoffs, they're as hot as they've been all season long. And like Bruce said, like with Lamar, there's no good defense against him right now. For a while, they were saying, okay, we're going to drop 8, we're going to drop 7, we're going to put our dime package on the field. So we got a bunch of fast guys with our eyes on him. But it's not working anymore because Todd Monken, the offensive coordinator who came in this season, has done a great job. Lamar is extremely coachable, and he understands, like, all right, if a team's going to dodge, I can dip. If a team's going to weave, I'm going to throw a wrench at their face and I'm going to run for 100 yards, because that's the type of quarterback and the type of a player that he is right now. He's so good with his decision making. He's so fast with his decisions. And then when he gets in the open field, it's over because his ability to make tacklers miss in the pocket and an open field is next level. And he's on the same page with his receivers right now, which is something that he always wasn't earlier on in his career, right?
Yeah.
It was always Mark Andrews. It was like, when it happens, I'm going to find Mark Andrews and boom, we're good. But obviously teams start figuring that out. But now he's got the receiving core and an offense that's built for success down the field, intermediate, and then he can hit the short stuff or he can take off with the football. He's indefensible right now.
He's been playing at a different level. He's going to win another MVP.
If you can catch a ball, you can catch a wrench.
And if you can catch a damn ball, you can catch a wrench. Who you got winning, Juju? Chiefs or the Ravens?
I got the Ravens, man. That defense just looked too crazy, man. Like they down Marlon Humphrey, they down like pieces and still don't miss a beat. And so I think that they instill so much confidence in that offense that's the late game boost you always need. That's the third quarter come out motivation you always need. And it's gonna be sparked by one or the other side. So I'm gonna go with the Ravens.
I'm not mad at that. And that is, people don't talk about that enough. The amount of injuries the Ravens have had this year. They always have injuries, but they've had a lot this year, significant injuries, and they have not missed a beat. They lost 2 running backs. They lost Mark Andrews, Marlon. These are like top level pieces, Pro Bowlers right. in their offense, and they're just next man up. All right, you get the final word, Bruce. Who wins?
Ravens. You got 2 great head coaches going at it, though, so it's going to be such a great showdown. Patrick Mahomes, we talk about it's hard. That's
Bruce trying to get a job, ladies and gentlemen. He's not going to go too hard to one side. He's going to show love to the coaches. If you're looking for a quarterback coach, I mean, I would take the call, but
I really think I could help both teams. But anyways,
we're going to do that. We're going to campaign on the ThomaHawk Show. We're going to get Bruce Gradkowski an NFL coaching job on this show. We've done it before, Bruce. Mike McDaniel, he's a product of the ThomaHawk Show. There would be no Mike McDaniel if it wasn't for this podcast, and I stand on that. So don't worry, Bruce. You're next in line. If you're listening, the coaches that listen to this podcast, and I know all of them do, John Harbaugh is sitting right now, getting caught up on the ThomaHawk Show before he heads out to practice. John, don't miss this boat, brother. You want to see Lamar take it to the next level? I got somebody in mind for you.
I was going to say, you think Lamar, he's going to win an MVP this year? They're in the AFC Championship game, but Gradkowski can
wait till Bruce gets in that motherfucker and see where he can take Lamar. He might make an NBA All-Star game. Those are the accolades we're going for. Shit we never seen before. Who wins the game, Bruce?
I'm going Ravens. That defense, man, is too tough. But I'll tell you what, have you guys talked about with the ref Sean Smith that got put on this game?
No.
So the ref they put on this game, because they're saying we can't leave out all the Swifties. So they're doing everything they can to help Kansas City out. And Sean Smith, when he covers a game, the home teams are only 17-29 in the last 3 years when this guy refs a game.
Oh shit!
And they're saying they're helping the Swifties out because they need to get Taylor Swift to the Super Bowl. But
I thought you were about to say the referee was caught at the Taylor Swift concert, last concert, with a T-shirt on that said "I love Taylor Swift," and he gonna be refereeing the game.
Basically, look, it doesn't matter though because Martin Luther King was at the last Ravens game.
He sure was.
I think Martin Luther King understands what Lamar Jackson winning means to his "I have a dream" speech. So we got forces on both sides, is what I'm saying, Bruce. Question for you guys: what is the best story left in the NFL playoffs? We haven't talked the Niners yet. We'll make it quick. Niners beat the Packers. Jordan Love looked good except one play. The Lions beat the Bucks. Baker Mayfield had a couple Baker Mayfield moments, but overall he played decent and he played a great year. So shout out to him. That's a great story. Jordan Love was a great story. Brock Purdy, Mr. Irrelevant, seems like a great story. What is the greatest story in the playoffs right now in the NFL?
There were so many cool storylines coming into the playoffs. Like I was happy for Mayfield, how well he played, but how they finished down the stretch. I was happy for Goff, facing his former team. Brock Purdy, you talking about Mr. Irrelevant. So many cool storylines within the playoffs. And then now you get to this game, a game before the Super Bowl. I just can't help but overlook the Lions. Like what they have done.
Great story.
Like Dan Campbell. I just love what they're doing in Detroit. And to think the Lions, we're talking about the Lions are in the NFC Championship game.
That's crazy.
And so to me, I think that's really cool. And it's going to be a good matchup. But I think it's cool for not only Dan Campbell, Detroit, and all that, but you think of Jared Goff, what he's been through. Yes, he was the number 1 overall pick, but he got pushed out the door for peanuts, and now look what he's doing, and he's back in a championship game, which is pretty cool to see.
That is a really dope story. Joe, what's your favorite story?
I love the Lions, man. Lions fans and Browns fans.
Lions votes.
We're like just two lovable brothers. We're cousins. We're like me and Hawk on Ibiza right now. Like, we're having a great time. We're cheering for each other. Life is gold and life is grand, even though the Browns got eliminated, because we're close geographically, like both from the Rust Belt. But the idea that Dan Campbell, this like rough, scruff, biting kneecaps head coach who's got like this lovable side to him, he is so easy to cheer for, because he can appease like the old school tough mentality of the NFL, but he's got this new approach that he's got empathy, and he shows his emotions, and he loves his players, and he demands a lot out of them. Like, he's exactly the type of coach that the NFL needs right now, and that an NFL team would love to have. And it's the same thing that people talked about why Belichick was not able to win once Brady left, right? Because he hasn't been able to kind of transition a side of him into being that empathetic force, that person that you can cheer for, that it loves his players, that's hard on him, but he'll put his arm around you. And I think with him and Goff, they've got an entire staff, an entire team, an entire city that everybody really wants to see have a lot of success and win that Super Bowl and bring this franchise that's never been to a Super Bowl, never won a Super Bowl, to the highest peak. And you got two teams in the AFC that I think everybody wants them both to lose. And then you got two NFC teams, in my opinion, especially with our love for Kyle Shanahan that you're like, hey man, this is awesome to be able to watch these guys. Hopefully, they both get to play in the Super Bowl, and some weird Roger Goodell rules allows it just to be an NFC versus NFC Super Bowl.
We're just going to move them both to the Super Bowl, guys.
More exciting, anyways, and we'll let Taylor Swift dump Travis Kelce and start dating Brock Purdy, and then everyone will be really happy.
Everyone will be so excited about it. I will say, my son, the biggest Browns fan I know, and that is a fact, he does not want the Lions to win. He doesn't want them to come up before the Browns come up, and he is adamant about that. Like, of all the teams left, that's the team he least wants to win, is the Detroit Lions, for that reason. He doesn't want them to have the storyline that the Browns deserve. He said he wants that storyline. So, Juju, what is your favorite story left in the NFL playoffs?
I cannot overlook Jared Goff and what that. It's
Lions again. 3 Lions votes.
No. It's underestimated the mental health that's required to go through that, bro. They said you wasn't good enough, so go to Detroit. Like, some brothers never make it out of that hole, bro. His performance could have taken a dip. He could have given up on himself, just been a less positive person all around. And he persevered through that. Of course, kneecap Dan Campbell, come on, man. But the best story to me is, brother, the Atlanta Falcons sent out a tweet. They tweeted with this with their own damn fingers.
That's the best story.
We are not
championship weekend is the Atlanta Falcons.
Yes, exactly. We are not interested in pursuing Lamar Jackson. We heard all these teams say we are not interested in pursuing Lamar Jackson. We heard all this, he don't deserve the money. He don't deserve the check he getting. We've rarely seen a guy get the money and win. Yeah, the guy gets the money and gets an injury or takes a dip or doesn't come up. Lamar has a chance to, and he's the hood hero on top of this. No matter what team you root for, if you are from the hood in the United States of America, the Ravens are your third or fourth team, because you always mess with Lamar. The whole hood love Lamar. That's the story. OBJ redemption. Come on, bro. The Harbaughs, can they actually go from brother to brother, win a national championship and the Super Bowl in 1 year?
Who has it
now? Who has it better than them? No damn body.
Man, we got to put music all behind that, because I'm with you, Juju. You flipped me. I was going to say the Lions. And you're right. My favorite story is Lamar Jackson. Here's why. This is what we'll end on, because I think we're way past our time in this block. But the Harbaugh's incredible story. OBJ redemption. Could you imagine if OBJ wins another Super Bowl after like all the conversation around OBJ? That's crazy. But Lamar Jackson specifically, Lamar Jackson is my favorite player in the NFL. He might be my favorite player ever. I've been around Lamar Jackson. I don't think there is a more humble superstar. Joe is the humblest. He was always the humblest in my book. And then I met Lamar, and I'm like, well, I didn't know it can get more humble than Joe Hayden Thomas. But Lamar Jackson is that. If you look at every interview he's ever done, he says the right things. When they lose, he takes all the blame. When he wins, he gives all of his players and his coaches the praise. To your point, Juju, it is typical. And that was the reason why they held off paying him. We don't know if he's a long-term answer. We don't know if once he gets paid, he's going to flip the script. And all he's done is get paid and gotten better. And even beyond that, and here's my favorite part. Yes, they tried to move him to receiver. Yes, they tried to move him to running back. Yes, everyone's like, oh, he can't be a passer. He can't go deep in the playoffs. He can't win a Super Bowl. More than that, every media outlet, and I was on ESPN 5 years ago before he even came out. He needs an agent. He can't do this without an agent. He's not smart enough. There's too many nuances to this business that he can't handle. And it was for 6 years. That was the problem. He didn't have an agent. That's why he's not combating some of these things. That's why he can't get a contract. That's why they won't want to do business with him. He doesn't communicate. Lamar Jackson, and since Lamar Jackson has signed his contract, Justin Herbert has signed a contract. Joe Burrow has signed a contract. Patrick Mahomes has signed a contract. And do you know none of those contracts are as big as Lamar Jackson? And ever since he signed his deal, nobody says anything about him wanting an agent, but nobody goes back and says, oh, he to this day, him and his mom, who was his manager, have negotiated the best contract in NFL history to this day. And no one has gone back and said, does that make him the best agent in NFL history? If he has still negotiated the best contract on a per money year basis? That is an incredible story. And you're right. With Lamar wins, my son hates the fact that I root for Lamar, because he is a Browns fan. That is a fact. He loves Lamar too, but he's like, yo, Dad, you're a little too excited to see him do well. But it is my favorite story left in the playoffs. All right, let's take a quick break. When we come back, we will talk NFC, and we'll get into some pretty spicy headlines from some former teammates and coaches of a few of us on this pod. We won't make Bruce get in it, but we'll explain later. All right, welcome back to this conference championship edition of the ThomaHawk Show. We talked AFC extensively. We're going to talk really quickly about the NFC, because I think everyone feels like the AFC is going to come out on top, but maybe I'm wrong. We have the 49ers, Bang Bang Niner gang, who look just okay, taking on the Detroit Lions. Joe, who do you have winning that game? And don't pick with your heart. Pick with your brain.
Detroit Lions are going to win. Did you notice that pause? Because I don't even believe it when I say it. But my point is this, is that Detroit has always impressed me from the beginning of the season with their ability to get into big, heavy formations and just pound the rock. And then all of a sudden, they've got really good weapons on the outside to be able to go deep, right? Which is kind of exactly what San Francisco wants to be, but they're a bit more like conventional outside zone. But I think the attitude that Detroit brings and that ability to be able to be whoever they have to be to win a game on offense is what will take them over the top.
Bruce, I'm going to go to you next, man. Who you got, the Detroit Lions or the San Francisco 49ers?
Look, you talk about Kyle Shanahan, Hawk, and you played for him, just the mastermind he is offensively. So that's what makes it hard to go against the Niners. But on the other side, man, Ben Johnson does a great job. It was a few years ago, I'm watching that offense dude, I love what the Lions are doing. And he continues to do that. And he'll have a little spice to the offense every week with some different formations or using big guys and shift in motion, all that. But I'll tell you what, last week, Brock Purdy should have thrown a pick six and they dropped it. So what quarterback's going to play better? That's who's going to win. If you keep Jared Goff clean, he can do it all.
How much is Bruce paying the ThomaHawk Show for this paid embedded ad for the Bruce Gradkowski coaching resume? Because whatever it is, he's not paying enough.
He's not paying. Well, here's the long game that we got to play, Joe. See, we placed Mike McDaniel as the kind of go-to for the future-facing NFL coaches. We put him in a place, right? We have yet to get an exclusive interview from the ThomaHawk Show from Mike McDaniel. With Bruce, that contract's already worked out. We put him in position. He becomes the head coach. We become the official podcast of that team, and we get all the breaking news because that's already in contract. So it's us working smarter, not harder. Juju, who you got winning, the Niners or the Lions?
You already know what's going on. You see what I'm representing, man. With the
Okay.
D as well. You know what I mean? I got this on, so you know
Hey,
I'm
B
going
Rabbit.
with Bang Bang Niner game, baby. I feel like the Niners
The
gonna
curve.
blow them boys out.
They really might. I'm with you. I'm going with the Niners, man. Because Jared Goff, you said they got to stay clean, which you're right. But they got to go against Bosa. They got to go against Warner. They got to go against Young. And that's going to be the best pass rush that they've ever seen. So they've done a good job of handling pressure, and Ben Johnson has as well. But I just think they're going to be at a different level this week. And I'm hoping that they burn the 49ers out so that in the Super Bowl, you know, the 49ers emptied their tank and we see everything they're working with. Dan Campbell is one of the better stories left. And I think Dan Campbell, for me, and this is where we'll give Bruce some coaching in his coaching quest. Dan Campbell is a mix of the old school and new school, like Joe talked about, but he's like a coach we've never seen. And I think that's what people really, really think is dope about him. I would say along that lines, Mike McDaniel is like a coach we've never seen. And Antonio Pierce, who has been named the head coach of the Las Vegas Raiders, is also like a coach that we've never seen. And I think what we're going to start seeing here in the next, decade or so, we're going to start seeing that a lot because we're the adults now. Our generation, which is weird to think, are the adults. And like Antonio Pierce, as he's walking to his press conference with both his earrings in, I've played in places where I wasn't allowed to wear earrings in the building. Dang. You know what I'm saying? Like we would get in trouble if we came into the facility with earrings in. And now the head coach of the Raiders, because our generation are the adults, is wearing earrings. I think that's dope. Mike McDaniel wears Jordans on the sideline because that's what our generation does. So I don't know. It's a cool thing to see. And Dan Campbell cares about players, which is what our generation does, and the old school didn't. So Bruce, you can't be like the old school. Don't go old school. Find your new school thing, stick with it, and that is going to be the reason why you get a head coaching job one day.
Well, that was my favorite gear with the BattleHawks with my Jordan 1s.
All Juju, right. What is Bruce's thing? What can Bruce's thing be? His calling card. Dan Campbell's is crazy. He says biting off kneecaps and all kind of stuff. And they got the earrings with Pierce. We got the shoes with McDaniel and watches. What's Bruce's thing?
Gotta get my boy a fur. You feel me? The team fur. That what the team is. You got that color fur on the sideline like this here. Just drawing up plays. Talking to the
I like that one. I like that one. Joe, what is Bruce's thing, man? We got a fur. What is your vote for Bruce's thing to get a head coaching job?
You ever seen those old Trapper commercials for beef jerky and stuff where the guy's wearing like the coonskin hat with like the fur coming up on the side? That would be amazing because I really love what Juju was saying about the fur, and the fur jacket would be cool, but that's been done before, right? Like Joe Namath was the original, and we've
old
seen
school.
a bunch of guys doing that since then, and we love it every time, of course. But I think Bruce on the sideline with a little coonskin cap, something like that would be absolutely amazing. You could pair it with like a nice, sharp Italian black suit with like pinstripes would be amazing. So he really reaches deep into his cultural history and pulls it out on the sideline so he can connect with all sorts of different players.
Bruce loves cut off sleeves because he thinks he has guns. And like, our generation, when we came up, it was like you cut the sleeves off. Well, Bruce stayed in that. But if a coach is doing that on the sideline and he's just wearing a pair of just a cutoff t-shirt, everyone's going to be talking about that thing. Bruce, you got to lean into that.
Now, how cut is it? At the shoulder, or am I showing some trap with it as well?
I know you like the trap. Like, that's the thing. Just get a little trap in there.
Tight.
Bruh, yeah. a cutoff polo with that shoulder trap. So you still got the polo collar on and you still got your hat on.
Yes.
No, dare I say, hire my boy.
Bruce would really wear that though. So that's the thing. Bruce would genuinely cut his polo sleeves off and wear it on the sideline. And it would be his calling card.
Or I have them make me a jersey that said coach on the back.
So I can wear All right, we're going to put that on the poll too. We got 4 options. We got the coonskin hat from Joe. We got a fur from Juju. I'm saying cut off sleeves, and you're saying a Coach Gradkowski jersey. You want to wear a jersey on the sideline. We're going to put that in the chat and see where we net out at. All right, so we did all of our picks for the NFC Championship game. There's a college player, Cam McCormick, who is a tight end for the University of Miami, and he was granted a 9th year of eligibility to play college football. Joe, I got to get your reaction here. I've been dying for it. Where are we at with 9-year vets?
I'm just wondering where the NCAA is going to draw the line on how many years you're allowed to play college. Like, should we even have the rules? Like, I feel like with college football, it's going in the direction of let's just get rid of all the rules. Like, if somebody wants to play in college instead of the pros, that's great. Like, hey, I just played 7 years in the NFL. I'm on the practice squad, but I'd rather go back to my alma mater and finish out a couple more years and win a national championship. Why not? Why wouldn't we let them do that? Like, who can give me a good reason why we shouldn't be allowing that to happen?
Could you imagine
that is sweet.
Going back to college as millionaires? Just like, hey, baby, I'm back. Let's go. All four. Let's do it.
If they let him do this and it's in the rules and he ain't breaking no laws, let my boy come back, man. I done seen this goatee come back 4 weeks in a row. You feel me? You look like Lance Gross from Tyler Perry's House of Pain right now. So if that goatee can make it 4 straight weeks, give my boy 10 years eligibility, in my opinion.
Just so you know, the people love the goatee. We put it on social media.
I want to have my poll versus my mustache versus your goatee.
I like
and
that.
just see what the ThomaHawk thinks.
Dunk on his goatee.
I love it. Thank you, Juju. I love you so much. So if somebody wants to go to classes and become eligible, take a PhD, master's, postdoc, I don't care. If you want to play on the athletic teams, go ahead.
All right, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to get into my favorite story of the last 2 weeks. All right, welcome back to the ThomaHawk Show. Before we get out of here, there was a story going around. Joe was out hunting in Spain. Bruce was God knows where, but I did want to get their perspective. If you didn't know, Robert Griffin III and Jay Gruden had a beef on social media that went pretty much everywhere. I'm going to try to give you the synopsis, Joe, because I don't think you're aware of this at all. So you're going to be hearing about this for the first time in real time. I can't wait to get your reaction. So Jay Gruden comes out and tweets, man, if I've ever put my quarterback in a situation with no help like this, forgive me. RG3 responds to the tweet, I think with a face.
With a picture of him, like.
Yeah, he's a picture of himself, and he says, say what? Insinuating like you put me in that situation. Jay Gruden then responded, I think, with, you weren't prepared, Robert, ? And then RG3 responds and says, you told me you didn't know how to game plan for a mobile quarterback who can both throw and pass. So it was you who's unprepared. Jay Gruden comes in back and says, you really want to play this game? RG3 responds and says, I'm not playing any games. I'm retired. You have a free invite to come on the show and discuss face-to-face. I know where all your bodies are buried, Jay. Don't play with me. Ooh. Jay Gruden comes back and says, go race a pigeon. Because there was a video of RG3 racing a hawk in the Seahawks game. He says, go race a pigeon. And then there's another tweet that Jay Gruden ended up deleting that said, you weren't good enough. Kirk was better. Cleveland didn't want you. Baltimore didn't either. Quit blaming me. And then it set social media ablaze, Joe. We had players from the Washington franchise coming out, and everyone had a perspective. Joe, this is your first time hearing it. I want to hear from you, brother.
I love being teammates with RG3 because we got stuff like this every single day. I have so many memories from the 1 year when he was my quarterback that were so lovely, and he's a great friend. I love the guy, but I am so glad that I did never have to coach that guy because he will get your ass fired and killed. And I love the fact that he is savvy enough that he's just going to start throwing bombs at other coaches, and then he gets him with the little hook and pulls him onto the show. Hey, if you want to come on my show, we can talk a little bit more about it after he's already ignited social media on fire. And that's what I love about the guy. He just has no shame whatsoever. And the fact that he couldn't see that maybe Jay Gruden had said some things in confidence to try to boost his confidence in himself in those moments when he was coaching him and maybe weren't exactly the truth with everything. And then he's going to try to use those as bombs to throw back now that they're not working together is just typical RG3.
It's funny because I also played for Jay. He was my OC, my O coordinator, as he was Bruce's as well. And you talk about the worst clash of personalities ever, you know? And again, I think that RG3 has a very specific, like, perspective on anything he remembers a certain way. And that is who he is. Jay Gruden is also that way. Jay Gruden has an offense that would be like, it was like enough detail that if it worked, it was great coaching. But if it was bad, it was definitely Andy Dalton's fault all the time. And I love Jay, but Jay was like a player. And, so him going back and forth with RG3 is so on brand for both of them. It is the funniest shit I've ever seen in my life. Bruce, you played for Jay. What is your perspective?
Well, Jay was cool as hell to play with. He'd come out to walk through hockey. You remember, he'd have like one shoe fully on and the other shoe
he was like a slob.
He'd be standing on the heel of the shoe with his foot on it. He'd pull out his phone, like checking a text message, giving Andy Dalton the play, like, yeah, Tripp's right.
Exactly.
But it was good because players can be themselves and get the most. Like, it wasn't like playing on eggshells. And I remember him dialing up a play, fourth quarter, seconds left in the game, calls everyone over. Hey, let's go. Tripp's right. 3-jet all go special Z dagger just to get AJ Green the ball. And it was a perfect play. It worked, but he's a player coach, and
right.
And I'm not a big fan of RG3. I mean, stop making excuses.
RG3 is my guy. We had a joke on the show about blame, and we're blowing through our time, so we're gonna have to cut somewhere else in the episode. But I think this is more important than the conference championship. But RG3, we had a joke on the show where we blame RG3 for everything. And RG3, he leaned in heavy because he also feels like everyone blames him for everything. But the irony is that RG3 will blame him so quick. and it's history is not being kind to RG3 because he was a great player. He was a Heisman Trophy winner. He came and he won Rookie of the Year. He had an incredible coaching staff that year, but his sentiment was always like they weren't prepared for him. And it's as the years go on, more and more people from that staff become the best head coaches in the league. And it's up to like 7. There's like 8 people from that staff that are head coaches. And he's battling a narrative. So I'm glad he now was like, all right, that coaching staff, I'm going to take it to the Grudens now. Now I'm going to get at Jay because he's not getting the job. So that's smart by RG3. So shout out to him for that, Juju. What you think?
Bruh, you ever like had a fire tweet that you knew was fire and right before you sent it, you just sent it and set your phone down and walked away because you knew the Dennis Rodman was going to hit? That's how Jay Gruden said, I'll race a pigeon.
That is Jay too, man. That is such his personality. Last story I have about Jay. When I left the Bengals, and Jay was my OC at the Bengals for 3 years, Jay also, I think, came from the UFL. So, Bruce, you're coaching the UFL. Jay came from the UFL and became an OC. So that's hope there. But when I left the Bengals, Jay was always like, whenever we would play bad or I wasn't, whatever, it would be like, oh, my receiver's too small. He would like always indirectly say that in the media. And it always pissed me off because I'm like, my touchdowns and plays would be like a shuffle pass, and I would take it for like 80 yards. Or it'd be 3rd and 19, they would throw me a screen. I'd run through 8 defenders for a first down. But the moment that a play doesn't work to me, it was, we need bigger wideouts in the slot. So I'm like, okay, Jay, you know what I'm saying? But that's how Jay is. So when I got to Cleveland and, they paid me and I had Shanahan. And first off, again, Shanahan is literally the best coach ever. And I think everyone sees that now. I was in the media like, yo, it's great to have an offensive coordinator who makes the job easy. This play calling, bro, I've never been a part of anything like this. And so I'm saying that. And then we play the Redskins in the preseason. And Jay like literally walks across the field to me. He's like, what's up, Hawk? I'm like, Coach, what's up, man? How you doing, man? He's like, ain't nothing. When you gonna stop talking to me in the media, huh? And I bust out laughing. He's like, yeah, you're over here just, gobbling down Shanahan. All right, good luck, man. Good to see you. Oh, man. All right. Joe, that does it for this episode of the ThomaHawk Show. Any closing thoughts, buddy?
No, man, it's great to be back. Hopefully there's no more disruptions from Deutschland now that we're recording in the middle of your morning. And
yes.
A lot of good stuff coming up here with the championship game and more good love between the 4 of us. And hopefully that comes back.
Thank you, ThomaHawk. Again, make sure you check out the show wherever you get your podcast. We'll see you next week. Same time, same place. DraftKings Network and Meadowlark Media. Until next time, Joe, take us out.
Joe Hawk yourself.